All right, we are back. We are going to be choosing our best method. So there's lots of different ways we can solve the quadratic, but the quadratic equation, we've learned so many different methods because not one method will work the best all the time. Okay, so we're going to give you some tricks. I'm going to give you some tricks today to figure out what the best method is to use and when to use each of them. All right, so we have these different methods. So we have either factoring, we have factoring or finding the square roots, so solve by the square roots, completing the square, and then we'll just use the quadratic formula. So when is it best to use the factoring method? So when the equation is factorable. Okay, and what does that mean? So when is it factorable? Well, it's factorable if the discriminant so it's going to be d equals b squared minus 4ac is a perfect square. Okay, so that means when, so for example, when d equals, let's just say it's like 49 or 64 or 25. Okay, so you want those perfect square numbers. All right, so when can we use the square root? So we're going to use the square root method when there is no bx term. There is no bx term. Okay. When should we use the completing the square method? So we're going to use that when a equals 1. And then b is even. All right. And then when are we going to use the quadratic formula? So we're going to use the quadratic in all other cases. So that means that we're going to go through all these different methods, and then if we can say, nope, not that, nope, nope, then we're going to use the quadratic. All right, so let's go through some examples and kind of how I work through these. So our first one, x squared minus 6x plus 7 equals 73. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these. So when the equation is factorable. So is our discriminant a perfect square? So this is where sometimes it helps if you had a calculator really close with you. Okay, so my discriminant, b squared, so it's negative 6 in parentheses, so negative 6 squared minus 4, parentheses, your a, which is 1, and your c, which is 7. It's 8. Okay, so 8 is not a perfect square, so I'm not going to factor it. It's not a good one. When there is no bx term. Okay, so bx, well, we have a bx term. It's negative 6x. That's my b, and there's an x, so I'm not going to use square roots. Completing the square. So is my a 1? Yes, my a is 1. And is b even? So negative 6 is my b, and that is even. So I can say that yes, completing the square is going to be the best way to do this. Okay, so again, what do we do when we complete the square? So I need to get my c, okay, over to the right side. So I'm going to subtract my 7. Okay, so I get x squared minus 6x equals 73 minus 7, 66. Okay, so here is where we do this. So we're going to do this off the side. So negative 6, ooh, not b6, negative 6 divided by 2, which is negative 3 squared. So negative 3 times negative 3 is going to give me 9. That's what I'm adding to both sides. So I'm going to add x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 66 plus 9. All right, everyone's still with me. Now I'm going to factor it. Okay, so now I'm figuring out what number, this is going to be my perfect square trinomial, remember, is going to multiply to get 9, add to get negative 6. So it's going to be x minus 3. X minus 3, I have 2 of those because it's a perfect square trinomial, equals 66 plus 9, 75. Take the square root now of both sides. What am I left with? X minus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 75. Okay, I'm going to do this kind of off to the side. So I have 75. What times what is 75? 3 times 25. 3 is perfect. Sorry, 3 is prime. 25 is my perfect square. It's 5 times 5, both. What am I pulling out? A 5. And what's left? A 3. So it's going to be x minus 3 equals plus or minus 5 square root of 3. Okay, I'm going to be done. This is going to be here. This is going to be it. So it's going to be plus 3 plus 3. So x equals 3 plus or minus square root. Oh my gosh, goodness. 3 plus or minus 5 square root of 3. Alright. This is it. And so when I answer this, it's going to be x equals 3 plus or minus 5 square root of 3. And then we're done. I'm just going to keep highlighting this in green. It seems to be working for me right now. Alright, next one. Number 2. 9x squared minus 4 equals 0. This should be pretty easy to see right now. Are you going to factor this? Is it factorable? And it's actually, no, it's not factorable right now. Square root, does it have a bx term? My answer is no, so I'm going to square root this one, okay? So I'm going to do this one. So again, I want to solve 4. I want to get x squared all by itself. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. I get 9x squared equals 4. Divide by 9. Get x squared all by itself, so I have x squared equals 4 over 9. Get x all by itself, so I'm going to get rid of that squared term, so I'm going to square root both sides. So I'm left with x equals positive or negative. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 9 is 3. Positive or negative 2/3. So it's going to be x equals negative 2/3, comma 2/3. If you just left it as plus or minus 2/3, both of these are actually correct. Okay, so I'm going to mark both those. So you can write it like this, or you can write it like this. Completely fine. Both ways. Alright, number 3. 2x squared, here, let me just get rid of this so I can see. 2x squared, alright, plus 8x plus 10. Factorable. Discriminant, let's figure this. Discriminant out is it. B squared. So 8, can you see this? 8. Let's probably turn it on first. 8 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 10, negative, oh shoot, sorry. How about we get this equal to 0, then we'll start. Alright, minus 3, that was tricky if you didn't do this one, right? So 2x squared plus 8x, 10 minus 3 plus 6 equals 0. Now let's do the discriminant. Sorry about that. Oh, how about if I put the right answer? Plus 7. I can tell it's late. Plus 7 equals 0. Alright, now the discriminant, which is b squared. So 8, can you see it? 8 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, 2, and my c, which is 7. 8, again, not factorable. Make sure it's equal to 0 though. Alright, so not factorable. Square root, it does have an x term, so not the square root. Completing the square, a is 1, that is not true, so I'm left with the quadratic. Alright, my quadratic. So you know that I like to do more paper, but I'm just going to use what I have here. I'm going to use probably the side if I need to. Alright, so my quadratic is going to do x equals b negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, let's fill it in. Ax equals negative b, so negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 8 squared minus 4 times a, 2, times c, 7, all over 2 times 2. Alright, x equals negative 8 plus or minus 8 squared is 64. And negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 7 is negative 56. All divided by 4. And then we have x equals negative 8. And then 64 minus 56 is going to be 8. So plus or minus square root of 8 divided by 4. Alright, so remember I said before that this is kind of broken up, so it's going to be, I'm going to do my square root of 8 over here. So, or my prime factorization is 2 times 4. 2 is prime, break it down, 4. 2 times 2. Pull out my doubles, 2, square root of 2. Okay, so this is going to be negative 8 divided by 4 is plus or minus, and it's going to be 2 square root of 2 divided by 4. Alright, let's simplify this. Negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. Negative 2. Negative 2 plus or minus 1, so it's going to be square root of 2 over 2. Yes, so I'm going to leave it like that. Done. So I'm going to do that and done. Okay. And then my last one, x squared plus 9x plus 14 equals 0. Alright, is it factorable? Okay, so my discriminant, again, is going to be b squared. So 9 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 14. 25. 25 is a perfect square, so it is factorable. Alright. And I'm going to factor this. So what two numbers equal 14, and then add to 9. So I'm just going to do this off to the side, make a little table. 14. So I have 1 times 14. I have 2 times 7. And I think that's it. So if I have anything that adds to 9, which is 2 times 7. Great, perfect. So I have x plus 7. And I have x plus 2. Okay, so because 2 plus 7 is 9. 2 times 7 is 14. So again, this is equal to 0. Okay, go ahead and make my two equations. So I have x plus 7 equals 0. And x plus 2 equals 0. Subtract 7 to this side, and I get x equals negative 7. And subtract 2 to this side, and I get x equals negative 2. So my answer is going to be negative 7, comma, negative 2. All right, done and done. Do this one, and done and done. All right, that's pretty much what we're gonna do, and then I will talk to you about the rest of this in class. All right, see you guys later.